Start tying now. All right. Look what I did. Okay. Okay, so I'm a dork.
It happens to a lot of guys.
All right. Anyway, okay, so she runs out the room. Okay, so the crowd starts to dwindle as I get up on stage. Okay, so all right, so in the 80s, since we're talking about the 80s, because I'm old as fuck. In the 80s, I lived in Lafayette, Louisiana. That's where I grew up. Louisianians in the house. Suck a dick, right? So I grew up in a small town, Louisiana, in the 80s. Lafayette, Louisiana. I was weird, and I wasn't weird because I was, like nuts or something, which I was, but I was different, and not different because I was, psychotic or anything, but because I was different. I was smart. Oh no. And which in Southwest Louisiana there's something wrong with you if you're smart. I was gifted, right? Yeah, but I always say I gave the gift away, but I was gifted and talented. I loved the theater. What the fuck was wrong with me? I didn't like sports. I didn't like football. I didn't like basketball. Right, thank you. I wasn't a Go Saints person. I wasn't all that shit. And I liked different things, and I liked in the early 80s, I had an asymmetrical haircut. What the fuck was wrong with me? I had a little tail that I dyed different colors. I was, I was post-punk, I was punk and new wave, and I was all those weird fucking things that you are in the early 80s, except if you look, I didn't like fucking, oh, what do they call it? They fucking embroider the sweaters, those fucking like Ralph Lauren sweaters. I didn't do all that shit. I didn't wear khaki pants. I didn't go to the Limited. I went to thrift stores and I wore men's ties and I wore pants and I cut my hair short. Oh my God, I wasn't a girl. I had, my ears were triple pierced, which back then was fucking nuts, okay? They didn't do nose piercings yet. That wasn't, when I got my ear pierced up here, it was like, why are you hurting yourself? So I was nuts, right? I was weird, I was nuts, I was smart, I liked the theater. There were so many things wrong with me. Everybody was listening to Whitney Houston and I was listening to the Violent Femmes. Thank you, there was something wrong with me, right? And I did theater, school, theater competitions and stuff, drama, the debate drama competitions. I did the drama stuff and I won trophies and, even though I was talented, it didn't matter because I was just weird. And so I was considered a bad egg, especially with boys' parents. Always boys' parents. Oh God, you know why? Because I fucked them. So they always thought, because I fucked them. So they always thought I was raping their young sons. Like I was pumping up their dicks with some magic thing and hopping on them like a fucking rodeo clown and, forcing them to fucking have sex, right? And it was I always ended up with these boys who were very kind of innocent young boys. And I don't know if they were drawn to me or if I was drawn to them. I don't know what the deal was, but there was a particular young man that I dated in 1985, and if I'll tell you his first two names, and this will tell you how innocent he was. Robert Christian were his first two names. Hello! And he went to St. Thomas More Catholic High School, and he was, Rob Penty, if we had met in high school, I would have blown you in the back of your parents' Chevy and moved my head right as you were about to come. I had it nailed down, my friend. You would have been perfect because you were right down my alley, like that kind of innocent.
Robert Francis.
Oh, right? Thank you. Take the rosary off the rearview mirror and let's. Okay, so anyway, right in the back of your dad's Chevy. So anyway, Chris and I, his name is Chris. So I took his virginity on his 18th birthday in December. But we really were in love for high school love, right? He worked at Haagen-Dazs, okay? He scooped ice cream at Haagen-Dazs. He had these big blue eyes. He was a little bit chunky. He was 6'2". he was this, he had a senior ring, he gave me a senior ring, and the Vampire Lestat came out in 1985, and we would write letters to each other as Lestat and Gabrielle. Even though Lestat and Gabrielle didn't get together, we would pen these letters to each other in big, giant, like with a pen, like in these big letters, and we would seal them we would burn the edges, and we would seal them with wax, and we would leave them for each other, and on our front doorsteps and stuff. But his parents couldn't stand me. They thought I was corrupting their young Catholic boy, and he wore blue Oxfords. But and I tried, as much as I tried to be like this perfect angelic girl, even if I dressed normally, when I went over to their house, I still, smelled like cigarettes, and I still had this asymmetrical haircut, and I still had this pink tail, and I still had all these earrings. So there was something wrong with me. My shell was cracked. I wasn't even allowed in the carton with the other eggs. Like there was something a little bit off about me, and they didn't want him seeing me, but we would just sit in his driveway and talk forever, and we would hang out, we would just go park and make out, and we just loved each other so much, right? And then I got pregnant, which of course was my fault, somehow, I guess. I willed those eggs to, that sperm to get in there. That was, my fault. And I had to have an abortion in Baton Rouge. Yay! While you were bouncing the ball, I was, cutting off his. So anyway, so I had a terrible abortion at one of those clinics, and they were like, we don't really want you to see her anymore. But we kept seeing each other, and at the same time that all of this was going on, later as our relationship began to kind of wind down, he found Shelley Mott, who went to Turling's Catholic High School. And Shelley was tall and had long brown hair and blue eyes, and she was just perfect. And apparently he had been seeing her on the side for a couple of months. And I found out about it through a friend, through one of our high school buddies, and I was crushed and torn apart. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what your parents want, and your brother, your younger brother, and Andy and your family, and this is what they want. And I guess because I'm just the whore and I can't do anything right, and I'm the weirdo, and you're gonna go be with Miss Shelley, and I smoke Marlboros, and she smokes Virginia Slims, and fine. He gave her his senior ring because I saw her wearing it in the Haagen-Dazs one night, and I don't remember if we had gotten in a fight or if he just had to get it cleaned, and then suddenly it was on her finger, and so we kind of broke up. We kind of didn't break up, and then prom came around, and I begged him to take me to prom, and he wouldn't. And then I was like, well, I'm going to prom anyway. And I went to get my hair done, and I came home, and I put my dress on, and he showed up. And I was like, oh, well, this is like Prince Charming. And it turns out that my parents had paid him to take me to prom. And so I didn't know that until later. And so that night after prom, we went and stayed in my friend's apartment, and we messed around, and we had sex, and I was forcing him, of course. And the next morning, he had lied to his parents about where he was. We got into a fender bender, and he had to call his parents. And so they came, and they called my parents, who took me home. I didn't drive yet, and they said they forbid him to ever see me again. Forbid him to ever see me again. And I continued on being just with every boy through the rest of high school and the beginning of college. Just this weird, awful, rotten, broken person, because you grow up in a family that has trauma, or a family that, especially in a small town where everybody knows that your dad's an alcoholic and a Lothario, and your mom is this, and your family's this, and they know that you're weird, and instead of taking you out of the wolf pack, they throw you right back in. And all you want to be is just like a bunny and you want to be like, I'm a bunny, don't throw me back in, and they throw you back in, and you keep getting kind of. So many, many moons later, many, many years later, Chris finds me on the internet, like you do. You know how that happens. And he's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine, Chris, what's going on? And he's like, it's years later. He's been married, I don't know, once or twice. He's got some kids. He's suffering from some depression. Things are okay. He's living in New Orleans. We start talking. We become kind of internet buddies, Facebook buddies, Instagram buddies, blah, 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 blah. And for about, I don't know, the last 25, 30 years, we've been friends on Facebook, friends on Instagram, talking, texting even. Hey, how's it going? He suffers from depression, so he would text me sometimes and we would talk about it because I suffered from, you still have your ups and downs, but, I take medication, I've been through this, I've been through that, I've been sober for 29 years. Oh, yeah. You can do that, yeah, whatever. So thanks. People always do that though. You say, I've been sober for 29 years, and then there's this applause break, and it's like, okay, big deal. Yeah, I do it. Anyway, you know how it is, bro.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, fine. Yeah, you can do it too. Anyway, so about last year, he messaged me and he said, I'm coming into New York. Do you want to have coffee? And I said, yeah, I haven't seen him in 40 years, right? And I said, yeah, I'm dog sitting. Meet me at Chelsea Dog Park. So he shows up at Chelsea Dog Park. We're both a little bit older, a lot older, a lot fatter. And he's still got those bright blue eyes. Most of his hair is gone. And we're dressed for winter, and he gives me a big hug, and we start talking, and we're sitting there for about 45 minutes talking, and Maeve's giving us the dog is giving us lots of love, and we're talking blah, 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 blah. And as we're leaving, I'm like, I didn't even ask you what's going on with your family, how, what's up with that, all that. And I'm like, and you're here with your girlfriend? He's like, yeah, I've been married twice, and I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are transitioning. And I'm like, well, how do your parents feel about that? And he's like, well, they split up for a while, but they're back together, and they still go to church every Sunday. And I'm like, well, that's fantastic. And how's Andy, your brother? And he goes, I didn't tell you. And I go, what? And he goes, he's Andrea. And I go, what? And he goes, he's Andrea now. And I go, oh, what? He goes, he's been Andrea for about 5 years. And I go, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, well, that's something. And I thought I was the bad egg. And he goes, you were never a bad egg. And all of a sudden, like, everything started flooding back. Everything, just all of the times that everybody ever said, don't let her come over, don't play with her, don't go out with her, there's something wrong with her, there's something weird about her. And I just hugged him and I said, thank you, Chris, I love you. And he said, I love you too. And he said it again, you were never a bad egg. He said, you're good. He said, and you're kind. And a couple of those cracks kind of started to heal up a little bit. And so I wanted to end this story by saying, for anybody out there who's ever been told that you're a bad egg, or you're a cracked egg, or there's something wrong with you, or you're fucked up, come on with me, get in the basket, let's have Easter together, and let's bite the heads off of some Cadbury bunnies. Thank you.